Yo, 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 it is showtime. What is up, everybody? OCD Mikey here for another edition of The Mikey Show. And this one's live. And we've got some great stuff in store for you today. Can't wait to see everybody, hear everybody. We've got Geoff Kait with us today coming up. And we've got some great stuff. So we will let everybody chalk up in here. Here we go. I've got his email. He's in. He's close. So I'm going to give you a first sort of a preface. Again, and I said this in my video. When we talked about tweaks, people asked me, what's the craziest tweak you've ever heard of? I said instantly, teleportation tweak. Craziest shit I've ever heard of. You know, you call a guy, he does something on the phone, and it changes makes the system sound better to you. You know, and craziest thing I've ever heard of. Can't believe people pay for this. And then I met the guy. I did a video, and I said, you know what, I'm calling this guy, and I called him up, and or he emailed me and said something, and I got in contact with him, and he said, and I said, well, shit, come on the stream, man, and let's talk to the people and let's tell them about this thing, because I've never tried it. It sounds crazy, but he's willing to do it for us all, and everybody can do it for free. Now, I won't be able to do it because my cell phone's here, and I think if I watch the stream and I'm producing it at the same time, it does a weird feedback loop. So I'll have to do it at a different time, but everybody who's watching can do it real time with Geoff, and you can listen to before and after. I think he even said you could be listening to your audio rig while you're watching. Turn it down, you know, volume, whatever, so you can hear what's going on. I don't think it matters though. You could have it up, and you can hear your system evidently change. This is too nuts to be true for me, but I thought it would be really fun. And Geoff charges $100 for this back in the day. This thing has got to be 20 years old. Now, let me also tell you that the focus of this is not necessarily the teleportation tweak. The teleportation tweak is the free thing that you guys get for attending. This is more to talk about the CD clean. It's not a cleaner, but the CD spray and the DMAG. And we will spend more time talking about that than concentrating on the teleportation tweak. The teleportation tweak is, though, he was willing to give it to us for free. So I said, let's do it, man. You know, that will be cool. I will ask about if we can, you know, use headphones. Somebody asked. I'll go through these real quick, and then we'll get Geoff on here. Shane says, good evening. Sean's in the house. What up, dude? Good morning. Good morning to you. Gargamel. Or Gargamel. For the snake oil to work, does it need to be played? I don't know yet. We'll ask him if it'll work. This will be fun. Emerson from Houston, bring on the snake oil. Right on, Emerson. Emerson, good to see you, man. Emerson has the MPD8. He loves it. Harsha, what's up, Harsha? Good to see you, brother. Have a delicious Drew Estate cigar fired up, and I'm ready for the show. Which one you got, man? I got some number 9s. Liga Privada are the Drew Estates that I like. I got Ligas. I've got, you guys should see my cigar collection. Tweaking, let's cook. Okay, coming right up. Great to see you. What's up, Tom? Steve DeHardy calls BS. Of course, that's what you're here for. You're here for it to see if it works or not. We're not going to spend any time on talking about that. Hey, Mikey, this will no doubt be interesting. Want to hear what he's got to say? For sure, man. It'll be fun. Hey, what about watching on my computer? You can watch on your computer, but he's never tried it that way to see if it works. If your computer is in the room where you listen to your hi-fi, then maybe it'll work. But whatever, it's for the cell phone, and then if you bring the cell phone into the room with you. But we've got some questions, and we're not going to go too deep into trying to explain what it does. It's just going to be more so try it and see if it does anything, and then not trying to explain what it's doing, because quite honestly, it's unexplainable. So we're not going to spend any time trying to explain it. I'm fully prepared to be hypnotized. Right on, man. Yo, Tribe, Dan here checking in from Evanston, Illinois. Right on, man. So I need to be watching on my phone for this to work as opposed with the YouTube app on my TV. I think he doesn't know. I asked him that exact question, and he said, I know that it works on the phone. I don't know that it works on anything else because I've never done a video like this. So this is the first time for him. It's the first time for all of us. So we will see what works. We'll ask him. Is non-quantum non-quantum demag a thing? Sure it is. That's what they made those demagnetizers for. Hey, Mikey, this should be interesting. Yeah, you know it, Andy. Looking forward to this. Yes. Shane, the numbers are building nicely. Yeah. Everybody that's watching, why don't you give me a thumbs up for bringing this content to you? Could you please? And then if you haven't subscribed, please do it. It'll help support the channel just to keep me fired up. It's not like costs you anything. It doesn't really make me any money, but it does make me feel good when I see the numbers of people subscribing, and then I get more fired up to make more content. But if the numbers dwindle, then I'm not so fired up. Amarillo, Texas, right on, brother. Ready for the blessing. You know it. Greetings from Atlanta. Richardson, man, get in contact, bro. That's where I am. I'm here in Atlanta. Big John here. Oh, JV's here. Wearing the tinfoil hat. Make me a believer. All right, brother. Okay, can I add the tweak at a later time if I can tonight? Yes. If you watch it tonight, you can do it now. If you're asking if you can replay it, that is also an unknown. He's never done a video like this, so he said, I don't know if it'll work on replay or if that has to be done real time. We don't know. Tuning in from Netherlands. Set my alarm, 3 a.m. All right, Nick. Welcome, man, from the Netherlands. Very, very intrigued. All right. Cigars at Capital Fest. You know it, man. You know I'll bring some. By the way, you guys, I do these live streams every Wednesday and every Sunday. So join for these live streams because I'll keep bringing more guests. It'll get more and more fun. Thanks for the freebie. You bet, Derek. Greetings from Chile. Let's see if this oil works at the end of the world. We'll see if it does, man. Curiosity pulls me in. There you go. Should get Rick Schultz. Yes, we know about Ricky. I've got one of his things. Somebody wanted to buy his thing. I bought one of those. Martin, what's up, brother? Great shirt. Oh, you like that, huh? High Fidelity, baby. Berkeley, California. That's, you know where this is from? This is from Amoeba Records. They also own a dispensary right next door. Bedini Ultra Clarifier. I use it. It still does the job. There you go. I just fired up a Monte Cristo #2. I'm jealous, man. I wish I could be out on the deck. I got to figure out how to do this outside because I'd love to have a smoke while I'm talking to you guys. It would. These are 2-hour vids, anyways. Got my hat on. Steve from Long Island says hello. Tell him hi, man. All right, thumbs up. 13. There you go. Lucky 13. Okay. In turn, do we need to stream through our phone? That's the idea, that you watch it on your cell phone. Well, here we are. Watch it on your cell phone. That's the idea. Straight out of SoCal. Right on, Ozzy. Okay. Hey, Charles. How's it going, Charles? Charles will be here soon. Can we get feedback from the tribe after the fact? Yes, this is going to happen right in the middle of the stream. You guys are going to do it. Then we're going to get feedback real time. So we will talk. Steve is here. Welcome, man, from Michigan, right? Or Wisconsin. I can't remember. I think you're Michigan. He's Michigan. Let's go, Novato. I used to work in Novato, dude. So welcome, man. Welcome from Novato. It's beautiful up there. I am mentally prepared. I hope so. Oh, that means he smoked a fatty. Ready for the magic show. Okay. Florida Lightning, capital of the world. You still use those isolation transformers? Yeah, baby. Checking in from Philly. Okay, so cool. I am going to now invite Geoff. Okay, let's see. I will copy, and then I think I can do it via Messenger. Let me see if it allows me to do this. No. Oh, no. I can't do that. I'm going to do it via email. Or let me go here, via Gmail. Okay, there we go. Okay, and I'm going to get Geoff right now. There it is. Okay, you'll need the following: a laptop or desktop, a recent version of Chrome, a mic and webcam, a good internet connection. You can join on your phone. Yeah, okay, I thought so. I've had people join on the phone. Okay, so send. Okay, so okay, cool. Okay, so Geoff, I just sent you the thing. He is going to be coming soon. Let's see. Just emailed. So now he knows it's just emailed. I should see him popping in here soon. All right, all right, all right. There you go. Let's go, baby. Keo brothers. What's up from Colleen? Taking notes. Taking notes. I got it. Yes, guy. Toronto. Salute from Montreal. All right, man. There you go. Got my Swisher sweets and a bottle of Thunderbird. Oh, shit. OC. OC is an OG, evidently. I'm watching, listening actually on my phone and watching on smart TV with it muted. How interesting. There you go. We'll see how that works because it's probably middle of the night, right? Shane, got your hat on. Snake oil must be pretty good stuff, seeing how well it sells. Yeah, it does, man. You know it. It does. And it's funny is, if you can believe in $50,000 speaker cables, you should believe in $100 magic tweaks too. Because it's the same thing as far as I'm concerned. It like both of them take complete utter faith. That you're getting your money, you're gonna get something for your money. I just put on my Devo hat. Sweet. That's called the Energy Dome, brother. I wish I had one, man. That was the high school days. Snake oil is better than Diddy's baby oil. Ooh, that guy's going down hard, man. CDs will never sound the same. Hey, everybody, whip it good. Will snake oil turn my amp cap into a first watt? I don't know, man. We'll try it. We're getting. Let's see what he says. Okay, he should be. Okay, I don't have email on my phone. I always use iPad for email, and my iPad is down until tomorrow. Okay. Okay. So let's see. I'm gonna copy this. Let's see. Let me see. I will go here and I will go like this. Let's see. I can go like this. I can copy it. I can Gmail it. To myself, or I can take this right here and I can copy this. Oh, I can go right here into my, right here. Let's see, I'll go into my email. Okay. And I will right here. Hang on a second, Geoff. I'm getting it. I'm going to text it to you. Okay, so we go here. Here it is. Okay, copy URL, copy to clipboard. Here you go. Okay. Okay, there it is. There it is. Okay, so I've got it right now, and he will be with us in a second. So let's wait right here. There it is. Okay. If we can't get him, we should get him to come up anyways. If we can't, I can call him on the phone, and he can do it. We can do it that way. Eating corn nuts and relaxing in my underwear. I use 3 cell phones. Does the effect stack? Wouldn't that be something? That's like, yeah. Big fan of Geoff. Canada has no snakes. Oh, it's got bears though, right? The popcorn is popping. You know it. Now that's a mental picture, Charles. Of course it is. Got my salt and lime ready for this snake oil shot. There you go. Imagine buying a Ferrari and having somebody sell you a $50,000 steering wheel to make the car better. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. It's nonsense. There's Aaron. Yeah, Mikey, does the buff stack? There you go, man. We will see. Okay, let me ping Geoff. See. Yeah, exactly. I click it on my phone, it goes right to the link, goes right to me. Yep. Hit it. Okay, we're waiting on Geoff. He's coming shortly, man. I just texted him the link, so he should be able to do it on his phone. There he is. Okay, cool.
We're almost here.
There you
There we
are,
are.
buddy. There you go.
Okay, let me get a little bit better set up here
Okay, cool.
so that I'm more like more of the right size.
There you go.
Is that fine, or should I get?
Yeah, no, it works fine, man. Works fine. We can
Okay.
hear you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Welcome, man.
Thank you.
Get in
Thanks for
front.
having me.
Yeah, man. Good to see you face to face. So that you guys know
Exactly.
I've never met
I,
Geoff face to face.
very few people have seen me during the last 2 years. I've been in my lab.
There you go, man. How about it?
So
They
there
just,
you are. Let me
they
take
just,
my glasses off.
yeah, for the reflection, I do this. I do the same thing. I do the same thing. Okay, cool. So maybe we should start, Geoff, by telling the people who you are and your background. Maybe give a little background bio of yourself, so they kind of know who you are, your background.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
Thanks for
I'm
being with
Geoff
us, by
Kait.
the way. Yeah, thanks for being with us.
Okay, I see. I'm hearing an echo. I'm Geoff Kait, owner of Machina Dynamica, which I originally, that name really comes from, I was trying to do like a pidgin English of moving machines. And it turns out that a lot of my products are actually involve motion or movement. Even the demagnetizer, when you wave it, is moving. And I incorporated Machina Dynamica about 1998, so more than 25 years. And my education is aerospace engineering from the University of Virginia. And
Yep.
I was in the first class after Kennedy announced the space mission and the Apollo and all that whole program. And so it was really the first time aerospace engineering was actually a course in any school. And Virginia became a very excellent school for that subject, as it turns out. And the first job I got when I got out of school was at Foreign Technology Division, which is a unit of the Air Force in Dayton, Ohio. And I worked in a pink building with no windows. And what I was doing there was aerodynamic analysis of high performance aircraft, things like that. And then I left. I traveled for a while. When I came back, I went to work for NASA at Goddard Space Flight Center. And there, I was there for quite a while, off and on, doing radar tracking data analysis, satellite operations. And then I went into a more normal, so to speak, type job at a desk after that, and worked for Computer Sciences Corporation. I worked for Martin Marietta when I was downtown, also for Lockheed Martin, also BDM, and some other smaller companies also.
Yep.
So I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. So what happened was eventually I came up with a product. My first product was a six direction of motion isolation platform, the Nimbus.
Okay.
And I debuted that with Pierre Spray of Maple Shade in Las Vegas at the CES around 1997. It was 1997. And then I got involved with Bob Crump and John Curl, and I was invited to be in their exhibit at CES a couple of years, 2000, 2001. And then that was about the time that I got off into different areas like crystals, PWB type stuff.
Yeah. What
And
is PWB? Can you explain that for everybody?
Well, PWB Electronics is a company in Leeds, England, that manufactures very odd but interesting products for audiophiles. And they're generally the type of thing that really doesn't affect the audio system, I would say. It's used on things that usually are not related to the audio system. So it kind of is the beginning of the idea that an audio system, that the sound that the audio system produces is not completely determined by the system itself. It's also determined by other things in the local environment in the room. So that's kind of where they're coming from, which is very different and a very different way to look at things, and but very useful to me over the years. And then, so then I came out with a few products that were related to PWB stuff. There was a clever little clock, which is a little battery-powered clock that you put in the room. There's also Brilliant Pebbles. Also, I can't remember if I mentioned that already, but that was.
I remember both those. I remember Clever Little Clock and Brilliant Pebbles from, I don't know if you remember Alex Paychev.
I know the name, yes.
From APL Hi-Fi.
I remember the name very distinctly.
Okay, so Alex Paychev creates DACs, and he's a digital engineer. And he used to take Denon 5900 big DVD players and convert them into. He would just use the transport, but he would take out the power supply and the whole DAC and everything, and he would replace them with his own boards using only the transport. And he was sold out. I mean, he was selling these back in the day for like 10 grand a piece. He was out of California. He worked, I think, for Philips or something like that. And now he has APL Hi-Fi. He went back to Bulgaria. But I remember visiting his room, and I came to visit his room, and he had Brilliant Pebbles and Clever Little Clock and the Tibetan Bells. And I was like,
kidding.
And I was like, dude, but I respected him so much that immediately I didn't even question the tweak because of who it was that had the tweak. I was like, oh shit, well, this must be legit, because I'd seen your stuff before and been like, you got to be kidding me. What Geoff talking about is they have these little vials. They're little vials of piezoelectric minerals and different semi-precious stones in different sizes that Geoff, found was the proper size for certain frequencies. And you would take this little vial and set it in the room or set it on top of the CD player or the transport, whatever, and it would have a great effect. Clever Little Clock was a treated little quartz clock like you'd see that comes from the store with the AA battery in it or whatever. You could set that somewhere in the room. Same thing. It would affect the sound. And there's much you can read much about clocks and people talking about quartz clocks. So those are two very interesting mods or deals that you did. So carry on. I'm sorry. I just wanted to bring people up.
Right. No, thank you. No, thank you for mentioning all that. My first version of the Brilliant Pebbles was the little glass bottles, and then I discovered that the glass actually had a slight resonance to it that you could hear. So after I found that out, I would put all the crystals in very thin plastic bags to eliminate that issue.
Sure.
But yeah, so there was something else I was going to mention about that. I can't quite think of what it was. But then I went. So I did crystals for quite a while before I got into other things. But then there was the teleportation tweet came along about that a little bit after that too. And then there was also. There was a New Dark Matter, which is relatively recent. That's about 4 or 5 years ago, which is a treatment for the CD tray.
Oh, yes.
That reduces scattered light that would otherwise get into the photodetector. So that was a good product to have. Oh, the intelligent chip was the other thing that occurred about 2005. The intelligent chip was this little quantum mechanical device, you remember, that you would put on top of the CD player or the transport, and then it would magically somehow change the CD that you played for 2 seconds and then the CD would be permanently upgraded. So that was a very interesting thing, and it got me into quantum mechanics pretty heavily. I talked to Jack Bybee about it. I talked to John Curl about it a lot during that year. And the other funny story with that is that I wound up sending John Curl that little vial of crystals, like you were describing, like you saw.
Yeah.
And he wound up giving it to Bybee. And it turns out years later, some of the Bybee products, guess what, had crystals in them.
Yes.
That's kind of a funny story. So you never really know. But I'm glad he did it. And both of those guys are nice guys, so I don't hold anything against them. But
sure.
And I'm glad that happened. So, but then anyway, bringing us more up to date, my latest two products that I developed over this last year are the CD spray that I call Presence. That's just a spray that you spray on the CD and then buff it off. And the other one is the universal demagnetizer that I use mostly on CDs, or if a person has vinyl, he can use it on the vinyl too, just like you would a normal demagnetizer, whether it's a Radio Shack type device or one of the Japanese devices too. Lots of people have those spinners that do the same thing.
Yep.
In my case, since I don't have a spinner, I have the user spin the CD on one hand and hold the demagnetizer steady with the other hand over it, about a half an inch away, on both sides and the edge. So that's how that works.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. Somebody asked here, is quantum entanglement involved? Do you have any comment on that, or you're not sure?
Quantum entanglement is involved in the intelligent chip, for sure.
Okay.
What was the question in reference to?
It just says, the question, and SR, the username's SR71. So, so why don't you let us know, SR71, expand on that question. His question is up on the screen here. It says, is entanglement involved here? That was the only question.
Oh, like I say, entanglement is definitely involved in quantum mechanics generally, just generally speaking. Mm-hmm. But in the chip, it was definitely there was a quantum entanglement involved. I thought that's my theory about it. Which I wrote a paper on the intelligent chip, and I also wrote a paper on the clock. I also have a paper on the teleportation tweak. So if anybody really wants to get into the fine details of what I think is going on, then I would suggest you can go to my website, and they're on my website.
Okay, cool. And you'll have the white papers. And what is your website?
My website, of all things, is machinadynamica.com. And unfortunately, there was some sort of corruption that happened on the whoever it is that maintains my site that I haven't been able to correct. But fortunately, that only involves some missing photos, even though I would like to have them there, but that's the way it goes. It would be too much of an effort to go in and reconstitute things, especially right now that I'm kind of busy.
Sure.
So, but those white papers are there. Really the content is still there on the website, and there's a great many pages on my website. I should warn you. I have explanations about everything. As far as I can go with it, as far as I can go, or as far as I know, because sometimes I don't know everything about it.
Sure.
But I do have explanations for most things. Brilliant pebbles, also how crystals work, and especially how they work in an audio system.
Yeah.
So then we come back to let me see. So I think we covered my products pretty much. And now the question is, are there some more questions about any of those products?
Yeah, let's look through this, and I will read some of these. Here's Dan saying, I use Geoff's dark matter tweak since 2019. Huge impact on my CD playback. Do you care to go into dark matter?
Yeah, dark matter is actually it's a very interesting thing because the issue of scattered light in CD players is one that was never really solved by manufacturers for whatever reason. But you might remember a long time ago, the green pen came out. That was, I think it was Audio Prism,
Audio
had the
Prism,
green pen.
Byron. Yeah.
And so that what that did was you would paint the outer edge of the CD with the green pen, and that would improve the sound, generally speaking, for most people. And the reason that it did is because green, or it's actually should be a little bit of blue-green. It's really cyan is the right color, because it's the complementary color to red, which is part of the color of the CD laser. But it turns out, after some investigation on my part, the green affects the sound because it absorbs the red portion of the laser, but most of the laser is not red. The reason it appears red, if you looked at it, is because it's a safety feature, so that people won't accidentally point it in their eye when it's on. If it's, that's the reason for that. But the actual wavelength is in the infrared; it's invisible. So to get a more complete, effective benefit by trying to reduce the scattered light, you really have to go to some other method besides the green pen.
Got you.
And some time ago, I had a spray that was presumably effective in absorbing infrared invisible light. And it did work. I had that for a while, but then I stumbled accidentally on this product that's in the new dark matter. The new dark matter are these very thin sheets, kind of a dark gray, and they're attached to the top of the tray with a very thin double-sided tape, okay? So you have 10 of those squares around the top of the tray, so that when the laser is reading the CD, the scattered light that occurs during the diffraction when it's reading the data, because the little pits, the edges of the pits cause the light to diffract and scatter. And usually that would get into the photodetector, because it all goes into the transport portion, this box. And it stays there because the CD is spinning and the laser is reading and producing the scattered light. So you just want to reduce the level intensity of that scattered light in the transport. That's what the new dark matter does. It absorbs all light. See, that's the trick. It absorbs all light, not only the visible light, the red, but also the invisible portion. So it also works for DVDs and Blu-rays, which have a different wavelength, of course. But it also, so if you had a universal player, you could use it for anything, as long as it's on the tray. So that's basically the idea with that. Yeah. So I sell that for $59. That's what new dark matter is.
Got you. Yep. And you've got all sorts of, I noticed there's all sorts of testimonials on your site of people that have used these things and that are very happy with them. Dan is on here right now, said it works real well for him.
Yeah, I usually, back then, especially when I was more of a thing, Machina Dynamica sort of went a little bit nascent because of inactivity and just the general COVID, and because of the economic turndowns. Something's coming in, but I can't tell what that is. Let's see. I don't know what that is. Hang on just a second.
Is it just saying that it's a slow connection or something?
No, I'm not sure what it's. I can't read it. I didn't want to put my glasses on, but where was I now? New dark matter. I can't remember what my thought was just before that telephone call happened. But I was talking about the slowdown in my business. It's probably like a lot of people's business. You just hit a kind of a brick wall for small companies, especially in 2008. But I've been making my way back, and my new products, I think, will get me more customers and get me more visibility. That's kind of what I'm hoping for.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's cool. Let's see if there's any more.
It's somebody's telephone number, but I have to ignore it for the time being.
Yeah, maybe it's somebody might be trying to call into you or something like that.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
not sure what it is. It could be. Yeah,
let's see. Quantum physics is just bringing back the existence of the ether, which has been hidden from us for decades. That's somebody's comment.
that's a good comment.
Yeah. SR71 says basic understanding may be wrong is that quantum entanglement is a manner of teleportation or could be the brandy. I don't get
I
it. Yeah. So he's
like
just,
all quantum mechanics jokes.
yes, yes.
You heard the joke about Heisenberg was traveling on the Autobahn in his Mercedes, and he was going very fast. He got stopped by the police,
Uh-huh.
and the police asked him, "Do you know how fast you were going?" He said, "I don't know how fast I was going. I only know where I am."
Yeah.
That's an inside joke. That's
Oh,
a
there you go.
quantum mechanics joke.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Nice, nice. Okay, so let's see. Dark matter, antimatter, when created by CERN, is not good for the human race. 1 gram equals 40 nuclear bombs. Okay, so he's talking about real dark matter, and we're talking about your product.
Well, that's an interesting point. But the another point is that the way I describe my demagnetizer now, when I compare it to other demagnetizers like the Radio Shack or the Lloyd Walker Talisman that was around, this was probably about 15 years ago, or other demagnetizers, they're like an atomic bomb. They're very effective, and if you use them the right way. But mine is more like the next level up to the hydrogen bomb. So the hydrogen bomb requires an atom bomb to detonate, right? So this is more like what that is. It's a more yield. It's more complicated, and that's why I refer to my demagnetizer sometimes as a hydrogen bomb
Ah, okay, okay. And
or the super.
um, he's asked. Here's somebody asking an interesting question. How can isotope C? How can you use isotope C13 to affect the sound? This is carbon-13 was something that um what's his name? Oh damn it. Now I'm drawing a blank. Jack Bybee. I talked with Jack Bybee on the phone, and he brought up carbon-13 and said something about the doesn't it have one I'm not qualified to talk about this, but it's like it has one loose electron or something like that. That he was I don't know if you understand what carbon-13 is and how it would how he but I just remember Jack Bybee bringing up carbon-13
Uh huh.
when he was describing.
I'm not familiar with carbon-13, but
Okay, so
I am familiar with carbon based products like graphite and graphene. I'm familiar
graphene.
with those, but that's a little bit different idea from what Jack Bybee's talking about. I'm pretty sure.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. His material was something that was he was invented in either Japan or Korea, and he couldn't go into it. He had like a licensing thing with it. It was like, I mean, I've taken some of his things apart to look at them, and it was like
Yeah,
a gray paste, like
yeah,
that hardened, and then there was looked like a battery inside, and then a foil.
really.
Yep, a foil, copper foil thing that went from the back and went forward. Like I could pull one apart. I don't mind pulling one
Wow,
apart, but it
that's
was very
that,
interesting.
well, he's very interesting, and he was very successful, much more successful in a lot of ways than I ever was. But nevertheless, he had his thing, and he was very good at developing new products, and they were very interesting, and he understood what he was doing.
Yes.
So you have to give him credit for that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. He was a nice old guy. And he would come to the shows and I'm like, damn, dude, like how old are you? You still coming to the shows? He had his products in his hands. He's like 90 something years old. He had his little sailor's cap on. I'm like, oh man, this guy's like a
That's
cute
like
little grandpa, man.
that's
Like,
like
oh,
the character in Oh God, the
yeah.
who's the comedian who played him, George Burns. He's kind of like that in that movie. Just kind of like a normal
Oh yeah.
guy
Yes.
walking around with a little hat on.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Okay, let's see if we got another question. This is time for, let's see. I used a green paint Sharpie brand pen to the edge of CD, basically $8, and it worked for me.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
The other thing I should point out is the inner edge should be black.
The inner
There's some
edge. Oh,
the
inside the ring.
inner,
Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
that should be black.
Oh, okay,
People
cool.
people think that the outside ring should be black too, but that's not correct.
Okay.
Uh, it should be green. If you want to do that, it's better to use my new dark matter. But if you want to do the edge, you might get a little bit of boost on doing that with the green, or even violet is a very good color, I find.
On the outside
And
edge?
on the
And then
outside edge, and the
black on the
violet,
inside.
yes,
Okay, so that's a good one
that's
there,
what I
Tommy.
do.
Try black on the inside, Tommy, and see how that works. And I presume one would use a paint marker rather than an actual ink marker. They would use a paint pen, right?
I actually use the permanent markers are fine.
Oh, Sharpie or
That
whatever.
that way, yeah, Sharpie. I use Sharpies. Before, Peter Belt also has a lot of pens. They're into their thing very, very much so. So they used to have like 50 or 60 products. A lot of them are still there, but his pens are very interesting too. He's got a purple pen. These are big, bulky, they're Luminator, if that's the right word, which I think is a UK brand they use, but they have the big bulk type chisel tip
Oh,
pens.
sure.
They're expensive, but they're very cool. And I have the whole array of them. Some of them have run out of ink, but they're still effective, believe it or not, even though they run out of ink. And I can even show you, let's see, this is what one looks like. This is one of their pens right here
Uh-huh.
with the label. See the label on it and the zip ties on
Yeah.
it like
What's the
that.
deal with the zip ties?
This is part of what they figured out how to, what they need. There's specific colors
Yeah.
depending on, this is a purple pen,
Yeah.
but no, excuse me, that's the black pen that has the white and blue and green. And this is the purple pen. This is the purple pen, which uses green and blue. So the
Yeah.
colors are important. In
Yeah.
their scheme of things, colors are quite important. And you'll see colors on my DMAG also, by the way.
Yeah.
You'll see colors on that, blue and red and green and
Very
yellow.
interesting.
Yeah.
Very
So
interesting.
colors on things and magnetism is also part of their thing, generally speaking. They use things that are slightly magnetized. A lot of their products are like that. So he's experimented a lot with different things. And so what I was going to say, there's another interesting product of theirs called the Red X Pen. Now get a
Okay.
load of this. And this one has actually been reviewed by Positive Feedback by the editor and his wife, the Red X Pen.
Mm-hmm.
And that one, the Red X Pen, I don't have with me now, but you can see a picture of it on their website. The Red X Pen is, what it does is you write certain messages. You can write them directly on objects, or you can get special little foils that you can write on, like gold foils especially. And you write messages like, one of them is X equal present time. And so you say, what the heck is that? But when you write it with the red pen on something, it improves the sound, believe it or not.
Wow.
And so this
That's
was
out,
reviewed.
man.
I know it's very far out, but I love it. It's just crazy. And it was reviewed,
cool.
and they even did it. I think they even did a blind test for the red pen, and but it's wild. A lot of their products are just off the scale. They make me look like kind of like a normal everyday company.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's crazy.
But I've known them a long time, and I've dealt with them a long time, and we used to do battle on audio forums over the years. And usually it would be Peter Belt sitting with his wife, and then I would be here, and then we would take part in group discussions, and we would say, what we wanted to say. We weren't really fighting together against something. We were just offering our own opinion, really, more or less. But sometimes it would turn raucous because of the nature of the beast, you could say.
Yeah, for sure.
In
So
fact, I was going to send you a picture I have that they sent me of him and his wife on vacation, which I still have in my file. I can send you that. He's another very charming, dear old man, and so is she. They're both very, very nice and friendly, and not pushy whatsoever. But they're very good at explaining their thing, and I don't explain it very well, but they can explain it very well. So they're still around. The son and the wife run the company, and if you want to, in fact, they have free products. If you contact them by email, they'll send you 2 of their products free. The cream, which is what this is here. So the cream electret that was reviewed by Stereophile not too long ago, and then the other one is the foil. They will send you a little packet of their what they call the rainbow foil.
Yeah.
Which you cut into very small little strips and put on things like put them on CDs or records, or you can put them on almost anything, on books, especially on barcodes of things. So there's all that. That's a whole different universe, as you can probably figure out.
Yes.
So,
And there was some expanded mind theory. Okay, so for you folks that are watching, Geoff sent me a link. If you go to Wikipedia and you look up expanded mind theory, you will see how some of these products, what they're based on, the foundation, if you will, principles has to do with expanded mind theory. And if I'm correct in understanding, that has to do with the listening environment that you're listening in, and the fact that every piece of matter has its own energy field with it. And as Geoff was explaining to me, certain pieces of matter, that you have, with barcodes or something like this, where there's 10,000 or 100,000 of these things out in the world, these barcodes tie them in with a data set that brings them into some sort of a network, because they're networked together. And that network can be, it can be part of I don't want to say hive mind, but it's kind of like, something of that nature. It's hard for me to describe how I understand it. But anybody, I would invite you guys to look up expanded mind theory and just read about it and see, because there's a lot of interesting stuff out there,
Right. The idea is that I think that if I were to say it in one sentence, it's the things in the environment, especially certain things that we've identified as being very important to have to deal with, like the phone, a computer, even a book, things that aren't necessarily you would think of as being important to the sound. So all these things usually all the things that I'm talking about, well, some things are related to the sound, like new dark matter is definitely related to the system and not something else. And so are things like isolation, and so are things like, footers or things like that. They're oriented to do something for your system at some level.
Yes.
But these other things that I'm talking about are intended to address things that are totally unrelated to the audio system. For example, books, also video discs should be treated somehow, either with some foil from PWB or my demagnetizer. You just run the demagnetizer over the cover and it will be sufficient to treat it. But other things that you wouldn't think of, like windows and glass jars, anything glass, anything wood, like furniture, all those things you wouldn't think of as being bad. You might think that it would cause reflections or undue acoustic issues, but that's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to something else that's not related to acoustic waves. See what this is? Stand by. I have to ignore him still. I have to call back. Yeah. So the idea that these other things in the room are part of your part of what's happening when your mind is processing information, like when you're listening. So that's the basic idea behind a lot of these products that I'm talking about, but especially the Peterbilt thing. How everything is, how the mind is actually like more has tentacles going out and feeling and wondering what these things are in the room. It's that part of the brain that is worried that there's something wrong and it doesn't understand for some reason what all this is. It's a little bit like
Reptile.
almost like, huh?
A reptile. It's the limbic system, right?
Well, I don't know about the reptile thing.
Fight or flight type area?
Well, no, what I'm talking about is right now is the idea that the human being, by the way it evolved, is always wondering what's around it. Like, if, for example, if you're walking around, you see squirrels out in the grass somewhere, or in the, as you're walking along, or dogs or cats, you'll notice that they are constantly looking around, scanning around, making sure that there's something that's not going to eat them.
Right.
And the human being used to do that to survive too. They had to develop very complex survival mechanisms that would not only alert them to danger, but it would also identify things as being safe or unsafe.
Uh-huh.
But so that's still there. That's still there deep in the subconscious there, the survival mechanism. But we aren't aware of it as much as for animals. It's much more of a higher function of something you see them actually doing. So it's a conscious thing as well as subconscious. For humans, it's really subconscious. We're not aware of any of that going on, or any of these tentacles of the mind, so to speak, going out and examining what's in the room, wondering what all these weird things are. What's this phone here? And it never really gets used to it. And it's always like affecting us somehow, which I think, because I went through it from the beginning, so I can sort of look back and see what happened. But for an ordinary person, it doesn't make sense. I understand that.
I got you. Okay, well, cool. We're coming close to, maybe we should do teleportation tweak right now. We're about halfway through our live stream.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'm all set up.
Okay,
what I'll do is
a couple things that people asked. One was, will it work if they have headphones on and they're not listening through their speaker on their phone?
Yes.
Okay. And the other one is they don't have to have it turned up any volume on their phone. It can be turned completely off, muted, right? They don't even have to hear it, do they?
Well, let me think about that. I don't think they should mute it, but they don't have to listen to it. I'm not sure if they should or not. I can't remember.
Okay.
But people usually want to hear what I do.
Okay.
But they should have their system warmed up already, so they can hear what's going on when I do this. But I'm certainly willing to do it right now.
Okay, yeah, we can do it now, and then people can compare. If any of you all that are watching are in your audio room right now, listening to music, or you have the ability to listen to music, you can listen to it before this process and then after this process.
Right. And they can listen to it later. They can listen to it later tonight or tomorrow morning also. It's okay.
Yeah, so if I'm correct in understanding, they could be in the bathroom during this process and then take the phone into the listening rig later and it would work. Is that correct? Or do they have to be where they listen?
It's kind of a hard question, because what I find with the phone is that you really, in order to A/B it correctly, and I'll explain this, you have to take it outside the building to A/B it, to get rid of the effect of it. If you only take it to another room, the way the thing works is that whoever is in charge of this whole thing, you know what I mean? Whoever is the physics of it is that the house boundaries, the room boundaries aren't the complete boundaries. So if you have to consider that the rooms are all part of the whole thing. In other words, if you took some of these treatments out of the listening room, like the demagnetizer, and you started treating other things outside of the room, you would get an improvement in the sound. It's because it's because the time space, the space is all one space. you might, in your mind, you might think of it as being compartmentalized and divided up into rooms, but that's not really necessarily true.
Okay.
So the best way to A/B it is to take it outside, like on the front door, or give it to somebody and have them take it outside.
Okay.
Then
So
you listen.
can you explain, like, in a perfect world, what would they do if you can give them a step-by-step procedure? Let's do that. Like, what should they do? Should they stand outside with this, or in the room with the rig and then
Oh
walk
no,
outside and come back in, or how does this work?
okay. No, they can be anywhere. See, that's the interesting thing about this, the teleportation tweak. You can be in your car and this will still work. You can be on an aircraft somewhere, on the way somewhere. And if I do this over the phone, well, if you can use the phone in the aircraft, I'm not even sure you can. But assuming you could, if you're on a train, is probably a better example. If I do the teleportation tweak to somebody who's in the train, he goes back home to his system, turns it on, it will sound better.
I
It
see.
all has to do with the phone. It all has to do with the phone and why the phone is so important and why it's so negative, has such a negative impact on music. So that's what that kind of shows. So what I have now is I have my little setup here that I do for the teleportation tweak.
Okay.
And what I'll do is I'll turn my phone over so I can I have to use these things here, which I
Yep.
won't explain entirely what they are. But I'll have like my full palette of treatments for the phone for my teleportation tweak here.
Okay.
So that's what I'll do that right now. Unless there's some more questions, then I'll just do it. I'll let you know when I'm going to start.
I think let's just let me see if there's anything pressing. Otherwise, we will just go for it.
Okay.
Let's just go for it. Yeah, because I've got a lot of things that we'll come back to the Q&A
Sure.
session after this.
Okay, sure. So I'll go ahead and start right now. I'm going to go
Okay.
off the screen.
Okay.
Okay, there you go. That's it.
That's pretty wild, man.
That's
That's pretty
wild.
wild. Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
one of the wildest things I ever cooked up.
Yeah, man. Okay. So we'll get some feedback from the folks. I'm not listening on my phone. My phone is right here, so I'm not able to do this at the time, but
Right.
I would like to do
We
it
can do it later.
after.
Actually,
Yeah.
what kind of system are you on right now? Because I think it probably worked through whatever you're on.
I'm on my computer, my
Yeah,
desktop
so
computer.
I think as long as your computer has a microphone and picks that up, I think I just treated your computer.
Okay. So
But
that would be
the computers are bad too. So that's good. So you just got the teleportation tweak.
okay. Okay, fantastic. So let me go back here and I am going to okay. So somebody, let's see. Okay, so does it need to be a phone or will it work? It will work on a laptop or iPad, which is what we just said.
Right.
Yep. Oh, by the way, did something go over your phone camera because you're a little blurry? Maybe wipe it.
Oh, it may be that. Wait a second. I might have moved away when I did all that. Let me get back into. Am I
Like
focused now or not focused?
yeah, you're focused, but it looks a little like smudged.
Oh, well, I'm not sure why that is. Let me see. Oh, it
What?
looks okay to me.
Can you
Maybe
wipe
I'm
it?
not close enough.
Do you have a clean? No. Do you have a Kleenex?
Do I have a Kleenex?
Yeah, to
Oh,
like
maybe.
wipe it
Oh,
across.
yeah. I see what you mean.
Yeah, yeah,
Now I
yeah.
understand.
Let's see.
It could be that I did something there. What did I do now?
There we go. Yeah, I think that's better. Uh-oh. Are you there? He disappeared. Uh-oh. Maybe he'll have to he might have pressed the side button. I'm going to tell him to try again. Stream, you're off the stream. Try again. You're off the stream. Look. So we will see. Let's wait till Geoff comes back. Something froze up. It's frozen. Okay, so he'll come back. He'll come back. Okay, so let's see. Dark matter, antimatter. Yep, we saw that. Okay, how can use isotope? Okay, we saw that. CDs, you. Okay, Scott Clark. Okay, let's see. Where are we? Okay, here we go. He should be back shortly. Any products or ideas around changing the actual listening environment? Crystals in the room, orgonite to neutralize electronic noise radiation. Yeah, absolutely. If anybody doesn't believe that crystals work, if you have some or just get some, put it on top of your amplifier, put it on top of your DAC, put it by the power supply. You'll be able to hear it. And especially if you get a big piece of quartz or something, set it on the power supply. You will hear a difference. And just by putting any sort of crystals. They do make a difference. It's weird. So yeah, you can treat the room. Another thing that's really wild about the room is trying what do they call it? Schumann resonator, which is an item that sends pulses into the room. And here he comes. And you can listen to the Schumann resonator. Okay.
Schumann resonator. Who said that?
Yeah, I was telling them that this. So somebody says any products or ideas around changing the actual listening environment. Crystals in room, orgonite to neutralize electronic noise or radiation. He said, thanks, fascinating stuff. And I said, yeah, there are things that you can do in the listening room to change the room itself, such as a Schumann resonator, which I've tried and had results from, but I won't talk about it because it's just too cuckoo, So. But
well,
other
I
people
think no, it is very cuckoo. But that's why I've been in my laboratory all year, because I was doing a lot with Schumann frequency, and I'm totally on board Schumann frequency. But the interesting thing is that I use a acoustic version of it, not the electromagnetic version like Acoustic Revive and all these others are electromagnetic. So it turns out that the acoustic one that you can just download from stream down from YouTube while you're listening on your device. I download it on, say, the phone while I'm listening on earphones. It's very effective and it's free. You just pick up the isochronic version, which is just the pure tone that you can hear. Which is another point is that when you listen to the Schumann frequency on YouTube, what you're hearing is the birth of frequencies that are not the Schumann frequencies. They're higher, so you can hear them. The Schumann frequency is obviously too low to hear.
Oh, sure. 7.8 hertz. Yeah.
So that's an interesting point, is that you can actually do this free and at home. It's very effective. And it's an interesting subject. It's also interesting because the way I think it works is, I looked into this a lot, and I could be totally wrong, like anybody can, but the way I think it works is that it synchronizes the neurons in your brain, which actually makes your information processing process work better, because the brain operates better. That's why they use this in group sessions of meditation and so forth like that. It kind of makes everything operate at a little bit higher level than before. In the old days, the humans used to get the Schumann frequency, the real one, which is the one around the Earth, the one in the troposphere, the ionosphere, wherever. But after what happened was, I think, is after the Industrial Revolution and modern technology, all those things like the proliferation of cell phones and satellite communications, it drowned out the real Schumann frequency. That's why when you get an artificial one like the Acoustic Revive or even the acoustic version, it replenishes that signal that we lost. We didn't have anything to synchronize all the neurons and keep everything the way it was. So that all got lost. but now we can restore it, and you'll see when you listen to the human frequency, when you listen to music, you can hear that it's just an improvement in the sound. So it's a lot like my products in a way. It's affecting something not in the audio system. There's a lot of discussion, I know, about how the human frequency works, but my feeling is that it has nothing to do with RFI or anything in the system, or affecting the electronics somehow. I know that those have all been tossed around, but it really has to do with this idea of synchronization and brain entrainment, they also call it. So what I usually do is I'll listen to the human frequency at this. It doesn't have to be loud, because the original one was not loud either. The real one is very low in intensity. It's just like a couple hundred millivolts, I think, was the signal even now, but it was probably stronger before. 100 years ago, it was probably stronger. So you don't have to have the signal loud, the acoustic human loud. It just has to be loud enough to do its work. It's the energy from the mechanical energy of those acoustic waves, the pulsing of the human frequency, that's synchronizing the hemispheres of the brain. And both hemispheres want to be synchronized together too. It's almost like having computer systems networked, so you get a much more powerful computer. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. So I got you.
That's my thing on human frequency. But I'm a big fan of it. I tell all my friends about it. It's kind of I think a lot of people. It's also dependent on where it's located, and it also should be isolated. By the way, I isolate my iPad or my phone on this elaborate little.
No, we got to freeze up again.
You won't get any interference at that 7.8 level. Mm-hmm. Remember, we were talking about the frequency roll off on isolation systems. You have to get very low in the resonant frequency and higher efficiency at, say, 10 hertz or 20 hertz. So 1 hertz, you will get a definite improvement in any kind of interference at 7.8. Maybe not 100%. It won't be 100%. It might be 50%, but that's pretty good too.
So Dan asks if are you exploring audio applications using graphene?
Graphene. I've been using graphene a long time. What I use now is the product from Perfect Path. Unfortunately, he passed away, or maybe you didn't know, about 5 years ago.
Yeah, the mouse.
He had some interesting stuff. I wound up inheriting a lot of his stuff from his significant other, because she knew how much I liked his stuff. And some of his stuff is very interesting also, but it's sort of off the subject. But I use graphene as like an extremely thin layer. You can almost not see it on things like end caps of my batteries for my portable unit. But I also used to use it on everything from cable connectors to electron tube pins, everything you can think of, electrical contacts on power plugs and so forth. Sure. And they're very effective. Also, the gold and silver are also very effective. You shouldn't dismiss those, and they're still available, a lot of them. Unfortunately, the one that I like the best before graphene, or maybe even equal to graphene, was the one from Extreme AV. Brian Kyle had a product that was gold. It was gold in solution with a silver paste, if that makes sense. Yeah. So he started off with just a silver paste, like a Sil Clear from. Lloyd Walker had one too. Lloyd Walker and Pierre Spray were friends, so they shared a lot of things, and they both had a similar product. But the one from Extreme AV was exceptional. It was much better than any of the others. But then graphene is very good too. You just have to be very careful about how you apply it. I just usually use a little brush and just have a very fine amount. It may even be diluted somewhat. So you get more of the since it's really a two-dimensional type of product, you want to keep it as thin as you possibly can. But I think even if you don't do that, it's still going to have a effect. it'll still fill in little crevices and so forth, micro crevices in the metals, and improve things that way.
Yeah. Okay. Someone asked if the black inside edge, green outside edge is good on Blu-rays as well as CDs.
Oh, okay. That's a very good question. The Blu-ray is a little bit different setup because of the wavelength. And what works for Blu-ray, well, first of all, the new dark matter is the one that I recommend, not the pens. But if you
Sure.
don't
Okay.
have, and you want to do something right now, the way to deal with Blu-rays is use a banana yellow around the outer edge and black on the inside. And the reason I
Okay.
say that is because it turns out Blu-ray, the laser is not actually blue, it's indigo. And it turns out that banana yellow is the complementary color for that.
Got you.
So that's what, and my tray treatment that I used to have, it goes way back to where I was treating this problem, this issue with scattered light. And one of my products was a banana yellow tray treatment. I also had a turquoise tray treatment for the regular CDs, but the yellow one was for Blu-ray.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Someone else says, I know this is more digital audio talk, Geoff. Any great product you recommend for vinyl cleaning?
For vinyl cleaning,
Yeah.
let me think about that briefly. I know people have told me that they use certain things, but since I don't play vinyl, I'm not really into that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the one I was told about recently by my friend, because I had him try the demagnetizer on LPs. He has a very big, very highly resolving system, and so he finally got around to it and reported back that it works on LPs too. But he did mention that he uses a cleaner, but I can't remember what it is.
T-Gritter.
He has a vacuum clamp down, so it might have something to do with a special clamp down system and not just a general purpose. I'll have to ask him that again. I'll find out.
Okay. No problem. Let's see. Should also bring back the old CD rings, which loop onto the CD and dampen it, provide inertial stability and reduce wobble.
Yeah, those are good. I used to use those too. What I use now are actually, it's a very good question. And my answer to that, the ones that were really good were the monster cable rings, the multicolors. And I used to use those a lot in the old days. And my friend still uses those in addition to everything else. But what I do now is I use a special version of 3M black electrical tape. And I cut it into 1 inch length. See if I can get, okay, about 1 inch length from the tape. And I cut that in half, okay? So you now have, instead of whatever it was, 3/4, you have half of that width
Yeah.
and about 1 inch length. So that you put those directly on the CD, 3 of them in a triangle shape. 3 of them like spokes of a tire, 3 spokes of a tire, separated
Yep.
by, I just got rid of you again by touching this thing. Wait a second. Stand by while I read.
Oh, we might have lost him. He might come back. Graphene is used for the ultra flat black for the inner ring. There you go. What's the optimum speaker cabinet color? Graphene is already used in a number of finished audio products. Of course it is. Yeah, it definitely is. I've used it. I've got graphene and silver nano powders, and I played all with that stuff. It works. How about using green and a blue Sharpie? Yeah, if you want to try something now, you can do that. But it's better to use more developed, I think, paints, pens, and or things like that he has created. That let's see. Okay,
Okay,
there you
here we
are.
go. I think I am again. Sorry.
Yep. No
I'm
worries.
definitely not used to using the phone for almost anything except
That's okay. It's been
mail.
working.
But
It's been working pretty
yeah,
well.
it's fine. It's work. I'll just have to not touch it so much. But no, it works fine.
Okay,
The
so
No, go ahead.
so to say I'm on to something new. Someone just asked, what's the difference between Auric Illuminator and your dark matter?
Oh, well, the Oracle Illuminator is more like my CD spray.
Your spray.
It's
That's what
just
I thought.
another optical treatment. Yeah, I like the Oracle Illuminator a lot. I used to use that used to be my main thing, but there were a lot of other competing lotions. Clark Johnson did an article for, I believe he wrote for Positive Feedback. His article was called Lotions 11, and it was a review of all the existing CD spray type liquid treatments around at the time. And Oracle Illuminator was up there. I can't remember what won, but it was, I can't remember what won back then, but my new product is better than any of them by quite a bit. You had optics, whatever it was called. There was one from Japan with shark liver oil in it. People tried all sorts of things, products that was supposedly eliminated the mold release compound, things that they claimed all sorts of things for. A lot of them worked, but I don't think that many of them work that well. But you could hear it.
Sure. Okay.
So the Oracle Illuminator is really, I'm not sure how it works, but it definitely is effective and you can hear it.
Okay, cool. It says, will this work with phone to Bluetooth the same as phone, or does it matter? I don't quite understand that question. Phone to
Um,
Bluetooth. Like, does he mean like if it gets would it improve the intelligibility maybe in his Bluetooth headset? Is that what he's
Oh, well, that's a good question too, because I had a customer. It's kind of what we call a anecdotal report, but one of my customers said he was getting higher number of bars on his phone after we did the teleportation tweak.
Oh,
He
that's
said he
interesting.
told me, yeah, it's interesting. I can't. It's just an anecdotal thing. I never really verified it or anything, but it's possible that it has some effect like that. That some of the interference is actually by these other forces going on that we're not really sure what they are. But he said that
Interesting.
when he was out in the field, he could only get 2 bars, but after the tweet, when he was talking to me, he was getting 4 bars.
Sure.
So I'm
Okay,
not
that's
sure whether
interesting.
that's repeatable or not or whatever, but that's what he says. So anything's possible, but I'm not sure, about that.
Okay, cool. That one brother is in the house. Oaktown is here. Done the holographic foil 30 years ago. It's nonsense. So he
Oh,
didn't
okay.
like it. Yeah, well,
That's
it didn't
okay.
work for him. It works for other people. It doesn't work for everybody.
Well,
Gotta watch.
there's a lot of reasons why certain tweaks don't work for people, or they get results that are not that are what's the word they're unconfirmed, or you can't tell. Sometimes that happens, but the main reasons for that are as follows: the instructions weren't followed properly, or the system that he was using it on wasn't sufficiently. It might have had errors in it. It might have been, who knows. There may have been other issues in the system, or the system simply wasn't resolving enough for whatever reason, who knows. Or there was like I say, an error that could have been out of polarity. All sorts of things can happen. So you can't necessarily say that something doesn't work because it doesn't work for you. It's just one of those things. I think I
It
mentioned to
doesn't
you.
work for them. I don't even try and get into why. I just said, it doesn't work for you.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like when
right,
I make and sell cables, and sometimes, I mean, now it has, but
right.
back in the day, someone would be like, oh, I don't hear anything. But there was only one guy that said it, and it's a guy from the industry, and he had a different prerogative. But I just said to him, like, look, hey, because his whole pitch was he's a recording guy and he sells recordings, and he was all about, well, only thing that makes a difference is the recording. None of the tweaks work, right? And
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, I guess you can't hear it then, and
Well, people. So I think
plenty of other people do. So that's
no.
all
I
that
think a
matters.
lot of times it's like an attitude too. Sometimes if you go into it with the wrong attitude, you might not be able to hear it. You might be trying too hard, or it might psych you out, or you might just be trying to besmirch somebody. People have
Yeah,
done that to me, and it's very unfair and a rude thing to do. But sometimes people will just say that as if
yeah,
it's true, but it's not really true. And a lot of people have, like I say, Peter Bells has been the subject of a lot. He wouldn't even get online after a while. So it was like
yeah,
Dylan's interviews. After a while, Dylan wouldn't give interviews anymore because it got so ridiculous, the
Contentious, yeah.
questions and so forth. And he got a kind of a bad attitude after all that. And so it all depends. But there's a lots of reasons why people sometimes don't get the effects they're looking for. It's also why I think I mentioned before sometime to you that that even blind testing has a vulnerability, and the vulnerability is if a person does a blind test on something, like for say one of the Peterbilt foils, and it doesn't work, or he gets inconclusive results, it doesn't necessarily mean that the thing doesn't work, because like I say, there's so many things involved in an audio system, and a correct test of an audio system where you would have to go through the whole checklist to make sure to give you the best chance of getting good results. People just don't do that, or they don't know how to do it, whatever. So you can't necessarily accept negative results. But the real way to deal with these things, if you're testing things, it's the preponderance of the evidence. So the more people you can have testing something, the more you can reliably say, oh, well, that must be true, or that must be not true. If you had a lot of people saying that it didn't work, well, maybe that might be true. But if you have a lot of people saying that it does work, even though there's some outliers saying that it doesn't work, then it starts to look like, well, maybe there's something there. That's all I'm saying.
Okay,
So it's like evidence. It's hard to develop all the evidence that you need. And certainly I'm very skeptical about things in general, especially about audio things. It took me very long time to come on board a lot of different things that I've experienced, from crystals to whatever.
sure.
It takes a long time to convince you to realize that what you're doing is actually correct, and that what you're hearing is actually correct. It's not your imagination, or something was off in your system. You know, things change. So you have to sort of have a long-term perspective to a certain extent, a week or two anyway, I would say generally. But
Sure. Okay. Someone's asking what does your rig consist of? What is your system, your audio system?
oh, well, I was expecting someone to ask that, but I actually don't reveal what it is, because I don't want to influence what people might think because of what my system is or is not, or what they might, what they might think about it, and therefore try to use that information against me. That's happened before. That's why I say
Sure.
that.
Yeah. Sure. Of
But
course.
my products
I
are
get-
very independent of the system. Like I say, a lot of my products have nothing at all to do with the system. So it's really
Do you
irrelevant to a certain
design your
extent.
own? Do you design your own gear? Do you have like one of a kind type? Is your setup one of a kind stuff, like one off products and things like that?
No, I wouldn't say that, but everything is treated as much as I can.
I got you.
That's what makes it so. That's what I think makes it. I use a lot of my products in it. I have lots of clocks in the room. I have lots of crystals in the room,
Yeah.
just lying around. I have lots of. I use the new dark matter on my little CD player, and I use lots of things all around in the room. I have lots of, everything's treated. Everything's treated with my demagnetizer. Oh, I was going to mention one of the odd things that I noticed right away when I was in my lab, which is my room where I have everything organized so I can experiment with things, whatever it is. But mostly it's been with human and with the magnetism things. I noticed that as I was treating, because I got off into treating other things in the room with the DMAG, and I found out, like I didn't notice it at first, but I eventually noticed how good the picture quality on the TV was. I have like a regular LG, whatever it is, 35-inch, 32-inch. I noticed that the picture quality got extremely good, shockingly good, and it was because I was treating other things in the room with the DMAG. I was not treating the TV at all, or the cables of the TV, even anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I did later, but at that time, when I first noticed it, I did not. So it shows you that treating furniture, my bed frame, the walls, things like that, definitely improve your sensory perception capability, put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So not only audio, but your sense of sight also is improved. So it's
Okay.
improving the way your mind processes information and so forth. That's what I think it is.
Mushrooms can do that too.
Mushrooms can certainly do that. Mushrooms can certainly do that. Lots of things can do that.
Sure, sure. Okay, so does Geoff have any thoughts or opinions of high fidelity cables NPS Q45 nanoparticle contact enhancer?
Oh, I'm not familiar with that. Is that the graphene product? I think it is, right?
I have no idea. I mean, I know that guy's gone now, but it was what was his
That's the
name
guy from
again?
Canada, right? Is that the
Yes,
Canadian
exactly.
guy?
Ricky Schultz.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Rick. That's the other Rick Schultz. The other Rick
yeah,
Schultz is
the
the
other one.
one that spelled his name RIC down in California.
Yes,
The
correct.
I think it is graphene, and it's the very expensive one. It's probably is graphene, but I have no experience with it. It's
Gotcha.
probably
Yeah.
similar to the one I use, the Perfect Path. And I think there's someone else who I think the mad scientist dude also has a graphene, a relatively inexpensive version, which is probably
Yeah.
fine too.
Sure.
Because I don't
So
think you can get the Perfect Path one anymore. So you have an option of maybe 2 or 3. Yeah, so that's
sure.
probably what you're limited to. But I have no experience with the high fidelity one.
Okay, here's a comment. Matter is just spirit at a lower vibration, and spirit is matter vibrating at higher vibration.
I can't disagree with that.
Yeah, I know, right? David says carrier wave testing smiley face.
Carrier wave testing.
Yeah, I don't know what he
I'm not
means by
sure what
that.
that means.
Yeah.
Carrier wave testing. Well, it's an interesting comment because a lot of one thing I haven't mentioned too much is when I do the teleportation tweak, I do this thing to the phone. It goes out. There has to be a communications connection for this thing to work. It doesn't work. In other words, if I just do this thing to the phone and somebody else has a phone somewhere, it's not going to work. It has to have this direct electrical communication. Whatever is happening on this phone when I do that, that signal, that acoustic signal, contains information.
So the tapping that you're doing
The
is
tapping. The tapping is the information that I put on the carrier. So the carrier is actually the signal, this electric signal when we're talking. The
Yep.
speech goes over that carrier too.
Yep.
Our speech goes over just like the tapping on the phone. So that's how we hear it. So, but the difference is the tapping on the phone does something permanent to your phone on the other side, the person's phone on the other side. But it uses a carrier. So does the demagnetizer, my super, what I call the super. They used to call the hydrogen bomb the super and the atom bomb because the atom bomb was like the subset, but the super was the bigger, more powerful, more complex version of the atom bomb. So the demag transmits whatever I do to the demag, which is all these things that I've done to it, including the Peterbilt stuff. That information is carried by the electric and magnetic waves of the demag. So that acts like an electrical connection. Mm-hmm. This is where we get into another quantum mechanics thing with this device. The demag, a demagnetizer is a quantum mechanical device, period. And that's because there's no physical connection between the demagnetizer and the thing you're using it on, whether it's a cassette tape or whatever, or a CD or whatever. There's no physical connection there. See what I mean? So you have to have some way to connect it. You can't just do it, in a vacuum, whatever. So that's the advantage of having the electric and the magnetic fields on my device, is that I use those to transmit the information, just like I do with the teleportation tweak.
Okay. Somebody asked a very interesting question, which is, so if I don't prefer the newly treated sound, can I erase the effect and revert the room system to original condition?
When doing what? For doing the demag on things in the room?
No. I think he's talking about the teleportation tweak.
The teleportation tweak is permanent on the phone. The only way that I can think of to eliminate it if you didn't like it, which nobody ever has, is to get another phone or to maybe get another SIM
Drop
chip.
it in the toilet.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for example, when people lose their phone or they upgrade their phone, they usually call me back and get a refresh on their new phone.
I got you. Somebody asked,
And
will it harm pets? Probably good for the pets.
No, it won't harm pets. I don't know
No.
if I would demagnetize my pet, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's fun. Just like using a Radio Shack bulk tape eraser is fine. Doesn't have any effect. You know, the magnetic field doesn't extend very far from magnets. You know, the intensity falls off at the square inverse square law. You know, it falls off at the. So by the time you're 2 inches away, there isn't any real field there.
I got
significant. That's why you have to hold the demagnetizer kind of close.
Okay, I tried demagnetizing my head the other day. Yeah,
some people say I have a magnet. You can get a magnetic personality that way. This is my clock, by the way. I don't know if I show you my clock.
Yep. Yeah, I haven't seen one of those. So yes. Somebody asked, can you use other devices, iPad? The answer is yes, you can. Tesla's magic number 369. Just walk around any building you wish to enter 3 separate times before entering, and your phone will then.
I like that. I like Tesla. I actually use those numbers, believe it or not, in one of the things I do.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Hendrix tune. If 6 were 9, that's what I think.
It's like one of the little codes. Remember, I mentioned the red pen. There's a bunch of different codes. They're all kind of like either comforting messages or little alphanumeric words or phrases. One of them that's very common in the PWB world is X. It's apostrophe X 26 apostrophe X. It looks like it looks like this, and so this is another one that is very effective when using the red pen. Any red pen will do, by the way. You can use the Sharpie.
Oh, okay. Apostrophe
and so
X,
this is what that.
Apostrophe X.
You can
use a red Sharpie and just write that on your CD.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. It's that reminds. Go ahead. I was going to say that reminds me of that experiment where they took the water and they put it under a microscope. Yep, and then they like love and they put that on there, and then the water crystal changed. You know.
Exactly. Then they put Hitler or hate words like that, and the crystals turned out very ugly.
Yeah.
That's that Japanese dude, right?
Yes. Kind of like intentions. You know, intent.
I'm not sure what's going on there, but it's similar to this. I'll put it that way. It's similar, but that's a little bit different because it's an inanimate thing. Supposedly, water is. I'm not sure I buy into it, but it does seem to work. I'm not sure why, but I've seen that video where it shows the crystals, the beautiful crystals, if you have love and happiness.
Yeah.
And then the very ugly crystals if you have hate or war or Hitler. I've seen that. But this is somewhat the same. But the thing with the X26X is that it was explained one time that 26 is the number of original dimensions in the universe when it was born. But I'm not sure I buy into that either. But X26X works. Whereas if you do X12 or some other number, it doesn't work. So,
weird.
So
and it's apostrophe X 26 apostrophe X.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, small X 26, and then it's really like it's not really an apostrophe. It's really like if you have I'm trying to think of what that's called, but it's apostrophe anyway. It is apostrophe. And it's a small X 26 apostrophe small X. Whereas the one that was apostrophe X present time, that's all caps. The small X, but the present time is all caps. So there's a lot of those that work. They almost all originate from Peter Belt that he established a long time ago that were the effective ones to use. Another one is Safe Hole, which is a very interesting too. SAFEHOLE. So he's got a lot of these things that he just came up with experimentation, and they're just general purpose. The other thing I read was about the X26 is that it marks things in a coordinate space. So that it's they use this technique in hospital. I read, I'm not sure it's true, for people who have some sort of deficiency. It helps them relate to the room. It identifies everything. This is where this extended mind comes in too, by the doctors treating things in the room with these coordinates. I'm not sure it's X26X, but something like that. X equal present time is another one that the doctor could use, so that this extended mind sees these things in the subconscious, not directly. He may not even know that they're there, but that will improve the sound because the extended mind is bringing these into incorporating whatever's in the room, even though it looks like extrasensory perception, whatever that is, whatever you want to call that.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's another weird thing.
Here's an interesting question. Someone is asking, okay, so if the phone that is in our room is something that is a negative force, and that's what the teleportation is tweaking, is fixing that, wouldn't putting the phone into a Faraday pouch have the same effect?
No, I don't think so. It doesn't have anything to do with RFI or anything like that, or even putting in a lead case, I don't think would solve the problem. Taking it out of the house would, however, or putting it, if you wanted to experiment, you certainly want to take them out of the room at a minimum.
Yeah.
Taking them out of the house would even be better if you don't treat it, and maybe putting it in the car. But even that is kind of like a little bit of, I'm not sure the car is not an extension of your house. In a certain respect, it's where you are. It's part of your living environment. But taking it out, like I said, to the front porch will eliminate the effect of the phone or phones. Or same with watches and clocks, by the way. The same thing applies to watches and clocks. The clocks in the room and the watches in the room are detrimental to the sound, so you want to get those too. The other problem is that the CDs and LPs in the room are a problem in this respect too. They're a problem. It's not an acoustic problem or a diffraction problem. It's this problem with having a field that develops with these having millions or billions of the same thing around the world. It develops this very strong field, which, unlike a electric field or a magnetic field, goes on and on. It's not limited. It's not attenuated. So that's why this thing is kind of a global thing. This idea that the belts have with the morphic fields, that's what they call them, these information fields that get set up that the human mind picks up on. And so you want to either not, for example, I treat barcodes a lot because barcodes are, in my mind, very bad for the sound. So you either want to cut them out or eliminate them somehow by marking over them with a red pen. Just putting a mark through them is fine.
That's
quick
so
and dirty.
Because to me, it's like, okay, so if the barcodes are very bad for sound, quote unquote, then it's weird. It's like, then how does my rig sound absolutely sublime without anything treated? Like, I don't have any of your tweaks, right? And my rig sounds freaking sublime.
Well, I know a lot. Everybody, many people like their system. Like their system a lot. There's no doubt about it. I'm not disputing that or arguing against that. It's just that I think that if you had some of my products in your room, or did some of these things, that the sound would be improved. You just don't know the extent.
I'm with you.
That's kind of the question mark, because everybody's system is different. Everybody reacts. Everybody hears different.
Yeah, and you don't really know. You know, it's like you always. Many times I've thought it can't get any better, and then it totally does. You know, I'm like, oh
no, right, no, exactly. But you do read. There is definitely this thing called the there is this thing about the last tweak. The better the system gets, especially when you get up to where it's really good, like you say, really amazing sounding, you feel like it can't get any better because you just finished doing the last thing. But in fact, when you go one step further and do something else, you say, "Oh no, I was wrong." This is like I tell people, this is like the story about the two guys. They're mountain climbers on Everest, and the one guy says, "Wow, I had no idea that the view from here is just amazing. This is great. I'm going to have to tell all my friends about this." The guy said, "Well, we're not even at the peak yet. We're only at base camp." So you never really know where you are on this scale. The scale like goes up and up. It doesn't stop.
Yeah.
The scale of this thing does not stop. Trust me.
Yeah.
It's not like a parabolic or hyperbolic curve. It just keeps going and going. There's no.
Yeah.
Well, I don't say that, but I'm saying that it's a lot of people think that their system is maybe 5% away from being the absolute ideal. But I don't think that that's true. I'm sure it's not true. A friend of mine has a very good system. He has like $1 million system. And it sounded very good. It's always sounded very good, even 5 years ago. But it's slowly gotten better and better. And then this last year, he made some dramatic improvements with, well, I think it started with new dark matter and then some other things we were doing. He's very experimental too. But when I brought the demagnetizer over, it changed so much that it didn't even sound like the same recording. And he was playing things like mobile fidelity stuff, and it's a really high-end shit. But it changed so much, it was like, I don't want to put a figure on it or try to estimate it, but it was at least twice or 3 times as good.
Yeah. Somebody asked. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go aheid. I interrupted you.
Somebody asked, "Is it possible I felt something in my body with the last slap?" And I was wondering the same thing.
Say the question again. Sorry.
Is it possible I felt something in my body with the last tap that you did on the teleportation tweak? I felt like
it's possible. I'm not sure what that would be. Anything's possible. A lot of these things are physical and mental. There's a little bit of overlap, but most of it's subconscious that you wouldn't feel. But I've heard people say that they felt it to other things, to things like that than others. I may not be sensitive as he is, so I can't say no.
Sure. Okay.
It might be an indication that it worked, and then he could listen and see if that actually worked.
Yes.
I don't know why my picture is so blurry all of a sudden. Of course, I have to walk around a little bit.
Was it the light?
The light is very bad in here.
Yeah,
and I just tried to. I'm not sure why it's so bad. One reason is because the bulbs are weak. Now, let me move over here for a second.
Yeah, no worries.
This might be scary. Wait a minute.
Teleported. So it's
okay. There, that's a better.
Yeah, that's fine. Right when you were doing the teleportation tweak, and then right when you were done tapping, you went. It froze, and then you disappeared. So everybody was like, "Uh-oh, he's behind you, Mikey."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like he teleported himself. Yeah.
They thought maybe it was a teleportation tweak that they had down in Cuba when they had those episodes with the low frequency thing.
Oh,
and
man.
in Cuba, it looks like I might have to sign in again.
Don't even start down the ELF path, because I've heard ELF here for a while. I don't hear it anymore, but there was a point where it was definitely present, to the point where I would ask people, "Do you hear that right now? Do you hear that?" And they would be like, "No."
Yeah.
I walked outside. I could hear it even louder. I took a freaking I took an SPL frequency meter, and it was like 32 hertz or something like that. I could see it. I could get a read.
Yeah.
So I wasn't just hearing it. And then I went onto the internet, and freaking people all across the world hear that shit. And it's like, holy shit.
Right.
There's some sort of ELF hitting us in some way in some cities, some towns. And I don't know if it's something that it's like, black ops bullshit to keep the keep the animals, quiet or whatever, but the animals meaning us,
Right.
So,
Well, I used to be on the ELF program. I forgot to mention that.
oh,
But that
cool.
was another program I was on. I was also on the nuclear submarine program for a while involving communications. But the ELF signal is about the real one, the one that the Navy uses for, submarine communications is around 75. But it could have lower frequencies
75 hertz.
involved too. Yes.
Okay.
That's that big. They have a big antenna in Wisconsin that's like a buried antenna that has a 1 million-watt amplifier driving it. That's what sends the signal. And the antenna that's buried in the ground is this big, many square feet. I can't remember how big it is. It might even be a square mile. I can't remember, but it's
Yeah.
very large because
Yes.
they have to use a lot of power to get the signal up into bounce off the ionosphere and come down into the ocean somewhere, penetrate the water depth. So that's a very interesting project.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's around 75 hertz is the nominal frequency, I think. Pretty
Interesting.
sure.
Interesting. Yeah, I saw something where there's a grid of things in the ground. Maybe this is what you're talking about. But I thought
Right.
these were also things that they had in like the polar ice cap, like Antarctica, potentially, where they could do directed energy, like a weapon, directed energy weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but they do have a lot of very interesting, exotic, different systems. I don't even know what they all are now because I've been away from it so long. But they have everything from over the horizon radar to these big, very large antenna arrays that are designed to detect incoming ICBMs. These are things from the Cold War that are still out there because you never know. So I'm sure they keep a lot of those systems going. I'm not sure about the ELF system, whether that's even still around, because that was a Cold War thing too,
Yeah.
strategic type system. But I think I just fooled with my phone again too much. Wait a second.
Yeah, no worries. Something happened when you were doing the teleportation tweak. You tapped your phone and I saw it go fuzzy like right when you tapped it. We'll be able to watch it back. Okay, so he's gone to the Fisher speakers utilize bracing in their cabinets. They do not need it. If anyone has ever done comms in crystal caves, knows, sure. Plenty of Christmas quartz is the best for power supply. There you go. Okay, here we go.
Sorry, that's
There
because
you
I'm
are.
messing
No
around with
problem.
the phone again.
No problem.
So so the ELF program, I think, all that was. I was in the FAA then, and I was in the group that investigated crashes and so forth. So there was 10 teams out. There were like FEMA and FAA people, and I was doing the analysis for the HF radio to predict where how they should set up the HF when they get to the crash site, like the jungles and so forth.
Oh, wow.
And they even had I remember they even had a Navy. There was a memorandum of understanding with the Navy. They had what they call a mobile mammal system that used trained dolphins to go down if there was a crash in the ocean, for example.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I remember something like that. Yeah.
So they had all these different things, but I can't remember what my point was going to be. So so HF is a little bit different from the ELF.
Sure.
But that HF system was also a Cold War system that was intent. They used to have these, and they probably still do, very large antennas on top of the FAA centers, and was originally for in case the balloon went up and they had to have emergency communication. Something may have got blown out somewhere, and that's really what that was for. But they used it for general purpose also. As long as they built it, they had all. They had already built this very large HF system. So they used it for different things.
Cool. Someone's asking if you are wearing a McLaren shirt.
That's a very interesting point because I just saw my first McLaren the other day. It was this color. It was over at the doctor's office here.
Oh,
I'm sure they're very expensive, but it's beautiful.
Actually,
What a beautiful car.
You can pick them up for inexpensive. I think you can pick them up 120 grand,
No
uh,
kidding.
and have a
Wow.
full carbon fiber car, the carbon monocoque design. And but then, of course, you've got something that, God forbid, you need an oil change, or you need to change a
Oh,
clutch or
sure.
a belt. They have to drop the engine out or something. Those cars are nutty.
Yeah, I know. The ones I'm not familiar with that one enough to have like obsessed with it, but I do get pretty obsessive about Ferraris and Lamborghinis. I used to
Yeah.
have lots of Alfa Romeos. I used to have five of them in a row.
Did you have a Julia?
And I didn't have a Giulia. I had a Veloce, what do they call it? It was the little four double overhead cam. It was the Veloce, I think, called like a
Uh-huh.
sedan.
Cool.
I also had a 164S, which is like a four door. That was the last one I had. And
Yeah,
then I
yeah,
had
those are cool.
I had a couple of the like the ones that you could get cheaply, and they were all nightmares, of course. But
Yeah. Yeah, I
I finally
drove
gave my
two
last.
2 days ago. I drove a year 2020 Aston Martin Vantage with like 650 horsepower. Oh, that,
Wow.
that thing was fun. Those things
Wow.
drive like
I see
crazy.
those occasionally. Yeah, they're very nice.
$200,000 car 4 years ago, and it was being sold for 92 grand.
Wow.
With
That's interesting.
8,500 miles on it. Oh, a sick. I'll see if I can find the picture. It was ridiculous. Like I gave it all she had on the freeway, and I have not felt that little feeling of fear in
uh,
so long. Since I just there's no car fast enough to give me a little bit of fear, but that thing did. I was like, oh shit! It was
that's a lot of horsepower.
and a really light car, and low to the ground, and it was super fun. Here it is. See if we can get this on that thing.
Wow.
Yeah,
Amazing.
it was a
We
bad
we
boy.
have a dealer. We have a dealer somewhat near me, so I see them occasionally. I see
Sounds
lots of Tesla, but lots of Ferraris, lots of Lamborghinis, lots of like
yeah.
the whatever the little Audi sports car is. It's very cool
RS,
looking.
RS, or R8. Yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. The ones I like are the newer, even older Lamborghinis. They're so low on the ground. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, for sure. Let's see
They
if
have
we
a
can.
lot of souped up Mustangs here too. Some of them
Oh,
are just amazing.
the noisemaker.
Some of them go by here. They're just incredible.
Oh
Very
yeah,
low rumble, very
yeah.
nonchalant, very
I think you
subtle.
you can get some pretty good deals with like the Camaro LS1, a Corvettes too. If you buy it maybe a little couple generations back, you can get some nice power for not too much money. You know.
Right. The Corvettes are interesting too, for sure.
Yep.
The one I like a lot also is the Mustang that came out about maybe 5 years ago. It was I think it was called the GT 350R. It was the GTR
Yeah.
350, I think it was, that had all the special new engine. It was a high revving, like a Ferrari, more like a Ferrari engine.
Oh sure. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
then it had like a option for special wheels that I think were, I can't remember whether they were graphite or magnesium. Carbon fiber. The package for the wheels was something ridiculous, like 20,000 or
Yeah.
10,000 maybe,
Yeah.
some
Exactly.
ridiculous thing for
For
that
the
car.
rims. Yeah.
But
Don't hit. Don't hit the
you can
curb.
see those on YouTube. You can see the test drives like on the Autobahn or wherever. They're
Yeah.
very impressive. But probably not the
After,
Autobahn, probably
after
in America somewhere.
after your second ticket, they take your driver's license away. Then what are you going to do? You know.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Now, so here we
But
got
around here, there's
here we've got an interesting stab at the technology from David, who's saying it's coupled carrier resonance amplification increases small signal sensitivity. Do you know what coupled carrier resonance amplification is?
no, not really in that context. I don't.
Okay, no worries. synchronizes both left and right hemispheres of the brain. We were talking about that. Okay, let's see. I'm going to try and get some. People are talking. Baroque classical music has also been proven to synchronize both left and right hemispheres of the brain. That's
Oh,
interesting.
say that again.
Baroque classical music has also been proven to synchronize both left and right hemispheres of the brain.
Oh, I can believe that. I can believe that because all you really need is any repetitive anything that's repetitive that the brain can lock into and synchronize with. So it has to be something like if it's not a Schumann frequency,
Hmm.
it could be a. Some people use other frequencies for whatever to synchronize. But the Schumann, because I experimented a lot, the Schumann is really the only one that improves the sound. So I don't really care
Yeah.
about the others. I'm not going to be doing any transcendental meditation anytime soon,
Right. Yeah. I got you.
or anything. But you can't. But it's true. You can use. You could use 432, whatever you want to do it, as long as it's a constant wavelength and so
Sure.
forth. I'm not
Some
sure why people use the others, but you could. I'm sure there's reasons for using
I
the
think they
others.
use the other frequencies for chakra alignment and so forth. It gets into like the
Oh
yoga.
yeah, right, right.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know they use them for like when you have group meditation and so forth. They do that to sort of calm the brain or whatever.
Yeah. Somebody asked, have any of your theories been verified independently, or do you have theories, or do you, or how does that? I don't know how to
Well,
answer.
yeah, I have theories. Some of them are very hard to prove, mainly because the ones that I have been talking about, I don't know how you would measure it except by listening.
Yeah.
There's really no way to measure the human brain's efficiency when listening to music. So you would have to go back to this idea of evidence and preponderance of the evidence, I think, for these type things, where if you get a lot of people who say this thing is works and does such and such, and you get a number of those saying that, but you get very few people saying that it doesn't work, it starts to look like it does work. It may have different degrees of benefit to different people in different systems with different ideas of what they like to listen to. All sorts of things would be involved. But I think you can establish whether something is credible or I'm not saying you have to prove these things though. I don't think you can prove some of these. The Schumann frequency generator is an example. I don't think you can prove that, but you can
Right.
get people saying that it works for them. That's about the best you can hope for.
Sure. Sure. Let's see if we got any more. Oh yeah. Um. Someone's asking if you can do the tweak one more time before you leave. The teleportation
Uh,
tweak.
oh, sure. Yeah, no problem.
Okay. We'll do it right before we sign off. We'll do it. Gold
Okay,
and
sure.
silver. Gold and silver. What about rhodium? Someone asks.
Gold and silver. What were we talking about now where
I
that
think you're
comes in?
talking about gold and silver, maybe particles in the mixes of
Oh, yeah,
things.
yeah. But no,
Yeah.
but not, but probably not rhodium
Yeah.
because what we're, in other words, we already have rhodium connectors and gold connectors, gold, plated anyway. But we're going beyond that with the, let me see what was the question about rhodium? Why?
If
Oh, use it
rhodium,
in a
rhodium would
contact
work
enhancer.
as an additive, maybe to carrier oils or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think so. You might as well just go ahead and get rhodium connectors if you want to do that. The best thing so far that we know about are the graphite and the silver, or the
Yeah.
silver with the gold impregnated into it. Those are the best ones that we know about so far that I know of. I don't know all of them
Sure.
necessarily,
Yeah.
but I
Sure.
do. I have been following it pretty closely over the years.
Yep. There's
like the Schumann frequency generator. I've been following that ever since it came out. It was just amazing, but I never really did anything about it.
yeah. Yep. Okay. So we've got another question here. Is Geoff, do you have tips for streaming and network optimization using quantum materials?
Um, let me think about that for a second. Well, one thing I could think of is the PWB products. If you bought them from them, they have instructions how to use all of them. They all are a little bit different. They all have different applications, but generally you just put them on something, put them on a CD or put them on a piece of furniture or something like that. So you can do that. But the best way, I think, is to use my demagnetizer on everything in the room for people that have streaming systems, or they may have reel-to-reel systems. You can still go very far by using the demagnetizer on cables, on other things in the room that aren't related to audio, like I was saying, curtains, chairs,
Okay, and explain this.
bookcases.
Someone's asking, why would a demagnetizer be used on vinyl?
It's because of the electric charge.
Okay.
And because the same goes for CDs generally with a regular demagnetizer. When you pass the demagnetizer over the disc or the LP, or conversely, you spin the thing either on your hand or in a spinner, like the Acoustic Revive or the Furatech is the other company that makes the things for demagnetizing LPs or CDs. You're actually, what's happening is the magnetic field of the demagnetizer produces an electric field. It's the electric field that neutralizes the static charge. So that's the answer why people use it on LPs or CDs. But the reason I use it, generally speaking, my demagnetizer is to treat other things in the room, but also the CD is very important too. The spinning CD. For some reason, the spinning CD is not synchronized with the human brain properly. But when you use the demag, all of a sudden, the whole sound stage becomes very clear, and everything that's going on, all the details of it become very clear. The voice of the singer, all of a sudden you can hear the spittle in his mouth, or if it's Miles Davis, you can hear all these little inner details that you couldn't before. It's because of this thing that's going on with the idea that you can that your brain is somehow knows what's in the room. Even if you blindfolded the person and did this, he would still hear that the system sounds better, that the sound has improved. So with that, having said that, I would say that if I had a streaming system, I would get the DMAG simply to treat everything in the room that you could. The same with any system, same with the LP system or a CD system. It's really like the future, I think. And once you start getting into it and realize I already have customers who reported back, and we go along and we do all these things, and they give me some good ideas too. And one of the most important things is that going outside of the room, you still get effects, you still get benefits. So the extent of the mind being able to discern and to react to things that are not only in the room, but in the whole house. Because I've gone through the whole house, step by step by step, and then listened every way along the line. This isn't the only time I've done that either. I do experiments like this all the time. But I spent this whole entire year doing that with the DMAG, finding out what the limitations were, how to improve it, what the range of its capability is. That was really a big shock to me. It was kind of a big shock in the beginning anyway. It was just something that it was like the teleportation. It was something I thought about, and I figured out how to do it, and then how to improve it, what the real capabilities were. That's really what happened with that.
Okay. Someone asked if you have opinions on Stein music. Like, I think that was
Stein music. I do have an opinion on that. I don't doubt for a second that it works. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but I think it probably has something to do with making the molecules of air in the room more uniform, more synchronized, so that when a acoustic wave travels through it, it's much more accurate and effective by the time it gets to you.
I got you. Yeah, that's the
Which
harmonizer.
which brings me to the point of a lot of these products that a lot of these ideas that I've been talking about. Once you get on board, you tend to realize that the traditional, tried and true explanation for how we hear, in other words, that we hear the acoustic waves in the room, they impinge on the ear, they travel a path of neurons and other things in the electrical path to the brain, and that's how we hear. But that's not true from experimenting with these other things, that it's something else also involved. It's not straightforward.
Okay,
So
cool. Let's see. I'm gonna
that's
run.
kind of where I ended
I'm gonna
on
run
that.
through. We're getting close to the end here. It's 2:05,
Yeah.
2 hours. So we're getting close to the end. We'll do one more before we leave. Let me see. I find that the psychoacoustics of simply keeping my eyes closed when I listen greatly improves the sound. Thoughts on that?
I don't doubt that. I've tried that. It doesn't really do anything for me. It's like cupping. Remember the old thing, cupping your hands behind your ears?
Yep.
That improves some things, but it also has some side effects. But it definitely improves. It's like having a bigger antenna. Cupping your ears like that, it improves. It means you can hear things farther away at the same volume, but it also does something weird to the sound stage and so forth. So I stopped doing that. In fact, my first product was going to be ortho ears that were rubber versions of Dr. Spock's ears. I was going to sell those, but that didn't pan out. But I think that generally speaking, the listening to music also during the late at night and very early in the morning is good, because those are very good hours for listening generally. So if somebody wants to do testing, those are the best times, especially Sunday morning. All things being equal, the weather is also something I would want to have, like a nice dry, but not too dry day with a high pressure system, no rain for a couple days. Those are kind of make good listening sessions.
Yeah,
If you close your eyes, there's also a little bit of a debate about wearing glasses when you're listening.
Oh yeah,
So there's
right.
lots of these debates.
Yeah, I take my glasses off sometimes when I'm listening. Somebody asked about Stabilant 2022. Remember Stabilant? The stuff that
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the ones that I used to use, that used to love, are the ones that the FAA used to use.
Yes, that's right.
In their electronics. That was the Cramaline. They had Cramaline red, Cramaline blue.
Okay.
And so those were the ones that I liked. But I heard that those products became KEG products, the deoxit and all that. That's where that came from, which I've also tried, which I had very good luck with those too, by the way, all those KEG products. Those audiophiles use those a lot.
And Pro Gold and everything.
Yes, right, all those different ones. I think that's the same company that had Cramaline, is from like maybe 30 years ago or something like that. But there's a product called Tweak, and I don't know whether that's the same thing as the Stabilant thing, but the Tweak was a contact enhancer that came out about 25 years ago or so, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found was that it kind of turned a kind of like a green black color after a while, so I got rid of that.
Yeah, some of that stuff.
But I can't remember whether that's the same product as a Stabilant or not. So I don't really have the right answer. Maybe.
Yep. Let's see here. Okay, so we're going. Let's see. So rewinding. Okay. Oh, people are asking about if they play back the teleportation thing when they watch it later, would it work, or does it need to be real time?
Yeah, that's another outstanding question. I guess we'll find out, or maybe we'll find out. because I haven't really done that before, but it doesn't mean that wouldn't work. Because as I say, this thing is like this acoustic thing coming in. So you would think that it would work if you played it later, but I'm just not sure. It would certainly be worth trying, and I'd love to know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll find out. So we got one report back from Dan Sealander that said he was out on his deck smoking a cigar. It happened on his phone, or it was his laptop, and he came back into. Okay, he says here, oh my God, I was on my deck for Geoff's teleportation test tones. I had listened to Radiohead track from OK Not OK Computer CD2 before the live stream. I just replayed the same track. Resolution was improved in clarity, and dimensionality seemed louder as well. So we got one feedback of a positive response from it. So that's cool. Let me go back down to where I was. Okay. Geoff is really neat. Lee Marvin back from the dead.
That's funny.
X26.
I'm trying to find the best lighting here, which is pretty bad. That's maybe a little bit better.
It's all good, man. We're good. I see you got, it looks like a sunflower back there. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, speaking of SR-71, I should mention that one of my jobs, I was working for the guy that set the record in the SR-71, Noel Whitfield. Just by coincidence, he was a VP at a company that I worked at way back then. Yeah, but he was a very, very nice guy, and he was the in the jump seat. He was the navigator for the flight that set the speed record, which I think was the one across country. I'm not really sure which one that was, but there is one that still stands. That's the one that he was in.
Okay, interesting. Someone says apostrophe X26 apostrophe X is related to gematria, 26 letters in the alphabet. So
that's possible.
That's interesting.
Or maybe a coincidence. It may be a coincidence. You know, for every number, you can think of lots of different connections to that number. Like if I said the number 25, or let's take a better example, 7. You could think of a lot of things that could represent, like the days of the week, 7, the 7 pillars of wisdom,
7th veil,
7 up. I don't know.
Exactly. What should we do? Here's one. What should we do with the Wi-Fi router that's in the same space of our listening space? With the router? A Wi-Fi router.
Yeah, I would use the DMAG on it, or I would put. I mean, I have to think about that for a second. I think I have a router here that it's my roommate's has a router. I'm not sure what it looks like, but I can imagine it's just a box. Mm-hmm. I would isolate it for one. If it were me, I would isolate it for sure, because probably subject to some kind of vibration. I'm not sure if that's really important though for a router. I'm not sure what I would do for just the router, but like I say, the room is really the thing in my mind. Yeah. For any system. So that's what I would do. I'm not sure if there's anything else that I have that would be appropriate. I'm trying to think. Oh, the clock. The clock, of course, is good in any system. The little clever little clock is for anything. It would be for even when you're, even if you have a live performance, you could put the clock there. It would improve the sound, just generally. If you have home video, okay, home video is also another case where you can use tweaks that you ordinarily wouldn't think of, like the demagnetizer. Use that everywhere in the system that you can.
Somebody asked if you do you do anything for health and wellness?
No, but I think most of my things are actually good for health and wellness, like the Schumann frequency, like the clock. People do report that they feel better. Their pets are more relaxed or whatever. I've had lots of reports like that, but I don't really go after that market. You know what I mean? I really go after audiophile market.
Sure.
Or video market too. A lot of my products work both video and audio.
Okay, so let's see. Okay, so maybe we're ready to wrap this up. I'm see if there's anything interesting here. Any questions? Okay. My hearing became more sensitive. Oh, these people just had to do the opposite ELF. Okay. They had those in the lower southeast. Eclipse was the beginning of Aquarius. EMF. Okay. Everybody's talking about HARP and different things. The
Oh
eclipse.
yeah, sure.
Um, future we
You
have
know, I was
vibration.
also involved. They have all these aircraft up there too. They're all part of that. The whole big picture type thing. You have TACAMO, take charge and move out. You have these kneecaps and other aircraft that are all specially hooked up. Even Air Force One has a lot of communications capability on it. Huge, in fact, probably. Which is
Yep.
another group. I used to work with the crew that was Air Force One. Yeah, Air Force One. Is that what it's called? Yeah, Air Force One, the president's plane. They were the
Uh-huh.
crew, the Air Force crew. They turned out to be on a contract that hired me down at the FAA one time, and they were very fun to be with. They were really cool guys.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so let's see. Okay, maybe we should do one more teleportation tweak for all of you that are joined right now that haven't done it yet. Get your phone or your whatever you're going to use, and we can do this again. Everybody's saying thank you, Jeff. Um, they enjoyed the tweak. They felt it was worth it. Let's see. Somebody's asking if you had any opinions on the chakras or energy.
Um, that's another very excellent question. It reminds me of one of the Peterbilt products that's called the Missing Link. It's a little uh, cable tie that has these little tiny little metal rings on it, and it's a certain color and attaches to certain things. That's how it's used. But the weird thing about it is that when you look at the color of these different rings, I think there's 7 of them. There's 7 chakras. I can't quite remember, something like that.
Yep. Yeah.
So it had 7 of these rings. Each ring represented one of the colors of the chakras.
Oh, there
So
you
I
go.
don't
Yeah.
know. So I don't know.
Okay. So
Yeah,
let's
that's called the
see.
missing link. I don't know if he still has that or not, but I've
Oh,
had it.
yeah. Cool.
So
Okay.
I believe in all that. I believe in all the chakra stuff and all that. Where I go sometimes, there's a lot of people from Nepal there, and they are, of course, are all into all that stuff and uh, different. They're more, I think, more spiritually oriented than most places. I think, from what I gather, they don't talk about it that much, but I'm sure they are.
Okay. Let's see. Fascinating. Enjoyed the chat. Okay. Cool. We're to the end. Okay. Cool. So we will do now one more teleportation tweak from Jeff. So if you have whatever your devices are, we can get ready and we'll do it. We'll do it again.
Okay, I'm going to get ready. I'm going to do it now.
Okay.
Here we go.
Cool.
Okay, there you go.
Awesome.
I would love to hear any feedback anybody has, negative or otherwise, negative, positive, or in between or whatever. It would help me.
Okay, fantastic. If I get any feedback, I'll definitely feed it back to you. And thank you again so much for joining us. This was very fun and intriguing. And I'll send any feedback that we get. We know that we've got one guy that said, and some other person said that they felt something inside themselves with a feeling like clarity of mind or something like that.
I wouldn't be surprised. That would not surprise me.
Okay, so Shane's gonna fire up his rig now and go listen. How do you get your somebody asked about the products? You go to Machina Dynamica, MACHINADYNAMICA.com, and you can buy the products right there.
Well, actually, right now, I'm not set up to I don't think I am, because something happened to my site and a lot of it is not functioning. The best way to order from me is to contact me by phone. Really, is the best way now, because
Okay,
I just got my new iPad. I just got my new iPad in today. It's not. I haven't set it up yet, but email is well. After I do that, email is also fine. My email and phone number are both on my website.
Okay, cool. Okay, so call him up. That's the best solution. And you can go
Yeah,
to
already
the
some
website,
people. I've already talked to some people in your
tribe.
circle there, and so that's has
Yep.
worked out fine.
We are the hi-fi tribe.
The tribe, right? No,
Tribe, yeah.
I can get into it.
Yeah, man.
No, I really appreciate your inviting me, and I appreciate everybody who watched this and who had questions. They were very good.
Yeah, man. I thought it would be fun thing to do. You know, the normal media won't touch this, you know. And
Right.
so and I've been through enough tweaks to know that they do work. So you know, I'll do it, you know. So we thank you for your time, and we hope to see you again.
Okay. Thanks. My pleasure.
Okay,
Talk to you
man.
later.
Have a good
Okay.
evening. Enjoy your
You
weekend.
too.
You bet. Okay.
Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. See ya.
Toodaloo.